Juice Bar, who's in the blender? Second half edition NBA All-Star Game, done and dusted. You feel the strength in the voice. I'm back.
You're back.
Battery is recharged.
You went.
I'm rested. Was in San Francisco.
Can we take a
for
second?
the All-Star Game.
This is what California does to people. You go to California, you
I
get
actually
recharged.
got recharged in Miami. But I went to the All-Star Game, then went to Miami and recharged. But it was still a fun, relaxing weekend in San Francisco.
Yeah, out there putting on for the Juice Bar. First thing, I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
Festivities, atmosphere.
A lot of
Give us
festivities.
some highlights.
Hard to get around, but that's anywhere with a big event that's not walkable-ish, like New Orleans. We've already talked about this.
Yeah.
But
And the stadium's a little bit away from the city itself.
stadium's on the water. Nice building, but it's off the beaten path. There's a lot of stuff going on all over the place. There was stuff going on in Oakland.
Yeah.
So stuff was spread out. But overall, good vibes. A lot of people were there. The people that are in the industry were all there. So the people that you kind of want to talk to, need to talk to. All the players were there. Everybody was there. Even like the guy, like Giannis, who didn't play, was there with his family at all the stuff.
Good show out of past players. Good alumni.
Yeah, definitely. Good alumni. A good, I'll say this. It was clearly Steph Curry's weekend.
Yeah.
I went to a couple of his parties. They were by far the best that I attended. Shea had a big weekend as well. He released his
kicks.
first.
Do you like him?
001 Converse Shea Butter. Yeah, I thought they were cool.
I like the color.
I like the zipper, very AI-ish. That was one of his guys coming up, so it's like a ode to him. But off the floor, great. On the floor, you have some real
Hit me
thoughts.
with the positives on the floor. Positives overall.
Well, let me tell you this, because I still haven't watched it on TV. I don't know what that experience was like. I thought the dunk contest was legitimate with Steph Castle and Stephon Castle, say his whole name, and
Clone.
Big Mac going for 3 in a row. I thought they put on a show. That was really fun. 3-point contest is always interesting because it's impossible to mess up. Here's a rack. Get it done. Hey, man, I know Jalen Brunson is our guy.
Yeah.
Let me keep it a bean here on the Juice Bar. The last 2 years, every round I feel like he's taking, first time he's ever done it.
You mean like practice?
Like, I don't know if, like, he's not running through it like I think he's, like, if I thought he would just be locked in. He's running out of time.
I actually had a cap. So I hit Hero.
Yeah, okay, amazing.
My cap was who had the hottest 3-point game and shooting night last game going in the break, and Hero was, I think it was over 40 that night.
Yeah.
Came in cooking.
Something about the format or just the rack jumper doesn't agree with Brunson. He just looks uncomfortable out there. And we know that's our guy. And I would tell this to him if I saw him and we were talking, I would tell that to his face. Something about that layout, that format doesn't agree with him. It doesn't seem to, he can't get rolling. If you watch it, he'll have a really good rack, go to the next rack, he can't hit anything. Then you go to the next rack, he'll knock down a couple. You get the next rack, can't hit anything. Then he's running out of time. Something about the contest doesn't agree with Jalen Brunson.
Lillard kind
Shout
of.
out our guy JB, though, for representing the Knicks well.
Yeah. Lillard a chance to go three-peat. No show.
No.
And they didn't even have a 3 in the All-Star game, which we then lead to. And I got to start out with in the arena. What was it like watching?
So, energy in the arena, complete dust.
Whoa.
First of all, game starts. They're doing the intros. Awesome stage.
This is now Rising Stars versus Team Shaq, game 1.
Yes, this is like
there's a bracket. So
this is like the intro to the game when LeBron came out in street clothes, which I didn't appreciate. It was clear he was putting on a protest of the game and the weekend and everything about it.
Is that the take?
We'll talk about it in a second.
Right.
But
it's a good take.
Awesome stage where they were doing the performances and the intros. It snapped. I watched them come out and snap it together, and it was like all LED screen stuff. It was really cool. But and this partly could be the West Coast thing. The game tips at 5:15.
Yeah, there was that's always
5:15. There's when the intro started, not even half full.
The stadium.
Like, I would say it was less than half full.
And it's probably media first, right?
Sure. So there's no real juice, like, with the game starting. Then I went and sat in the media seats, which were awesome.
Yeah.
I will say that. They were like baseline, but off to the side, so you weren't stuck behind.
Better than 212?
Kind of similar.
All right.
It was as if 212, which is where we sit at the Garden, the media section, was a little lower.
Okay.
So it was like a better view than 212, but very similar to 212.
Yeah, a little corner pocket.
And yeah, just not a lot of juice. I don't know if that's a San Francisco thing or.
Well, first
of all, regular people. Let me be honest. There are 0 regular people at this event. No, I would love to see the numbers on how many tickets were sold from like a guy buying the ticket and going.
Taking his kid.
Yes, like it has to be.
Did you look?
In the teens.
Out of curiosity, how much a seat was? Does anyone know?
Oh, no, I didn't look, but it has to be insane.
500?
So I was walking through the concourse. Guess how much a Modelo is at Chase Center in San
California
Francisco?
Modelo? 17. I'm going to go $17.
Dude, 20 even.
Woo!
And you know,
regular Modelo?
Regular Modelo, 20 even. It was, I think it was 16 ounce, but still.
That's wild.
And I made a joke, and I was like, they could at least try to throw the marketing on it and make it $19.99. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were just like 20 even, bro. That's what it is.
$19.99.
So like after tax, it's like a $22.50.
Ticket prices started around $1,300 and then
man.
went all the way up into like the 5,000s and everything.
So I guess you get the day of, you get multiple games. Let's start with the Rising Stars. Did you like the Rising Stars element versus Team Shaq? I have a lot of thoughts from a TV perspective, but
Sure.
I want to get all your takeaways.
I'm always into the Rising Stars because they take it a lot more seriously than the big fellas.
They covered the 6.5.
Yeah, I'm into the Rising
That was a
Stars.
6.5 point line.
I'm into the new format that it may need some tweaks, and we'll get there. But
the biggest thing I think from watching it, and I like the idea of playing to a score. I feel like they've done that before, but to 40 with the best in the game,
light.
It's like you're
Couple
just
jumpers.
getting your beak wet. It's you just started to sip on some sauce and the party's over.
Yeah, the final when it went to 11-1, I was like, oh, this is over.
It's over.
It was done. Yeah.
Here's my thought from a gambling perspective. May or may not have nibbled. The Team Shaq advantage, and they were like minus 105 or even money to win the tournament. Yeah. But think about it like pickup basketball, because it kind of was first to 40. And then if you win, you stay on the court. Well, this team wins, and then they got to sit. Team Chuck beats Team Kenny, and then they sit. Where
that was the only game that had a little juice, too.
But then Shaq's team gets to take down take down the second team, and then they get to stay on the court for just a normal commercial break. If you're just thinking about biorhythms and who's in the one team started and stopped, and the other team just went to a normal commercial and was warmed up. And like you said, 11-1, and it was dust.
Yeah. So no juice in the building. A lot of stoppage. I could feel that would be bad on TV.
What was it like when they went to Kevin Hart and awards in the middle of that last game?
Yeah, and then
bringing out Kenny and Shaq and them.
Yeah, that seemed like an odd place to do it, and timing wise.
In the middle of a 40-point game.
Yeah,
which is 1/4 of basketball.
Well, look. The All-Star game is like the second biggest moneymaker that the league has, like outside of the NBA Finals. We're talking about like corporate dollars. So they're trying to stretch this and appease it as long as they can. If they ran out semifinal, championship to 40,
no break.
We're there like 30. We're there like 45 minutes, right?
I see.
So you got to kind of add all this stuff in to prolong it. Now, could you have won about it a little better? Sure. The Kevin Hart thing, roasting players, was interesting because, like, I hated that.
Did you pick up SGA chirping back in the stadium? He was very upset.
No, I didn't see.
Kevin Hart's chirping him. He's literally like this.
They have him on the. Kevin Hart was on the PA system. So like I heard him like, and next time I see a big fella shooting the three, like Shaq, sub him out or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of corny, but SGA was upset about that.
Very upset, and then just pick the guys you know are gonna have fun with you. Like I'm watching Garland. Garland was cracking up.
Yeah.
You're going with the Canadian guy that post Drake L, everyone's a little sensitive up there. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So yeah, I think we could nitpick this.
But overall, let's talk about the game.
existence.
Yeah, let's talk about the game on Sunday because you weren't a fan of anything about it, really.
I think they could, and we don't have to go into it too long. It's not that interesting, but I think one thought would be, and does this work? You give the winning team $100,000, just like the play-in tournament, so that maybe you'd hope they try a little harder. Because we only got here because the players stopped trying. But like we hung in there a few years where it went from Kobe covering Bron full court to make a statement, and then Jordan kind of was making those statements to early Kobe, early All-Stars. That tradition went away. And so this, where it's like you almost are observing Wemby and those young guys were kind of trying. They wanted to bring the effort. We're in that weird, you can't tell these guys nothing. And I guess I get it to protect the body and not get hurt. But do you think if that was a quick fix, 100 bands?
No, the 100 bands is not enough. But
why? Because that's a night for Harden? Just a night out?
Basically. If he wanted, like, he's done that, I'm sure. Multiple times.
For sure.
So
you don't think that works?
Here on the juice bar, but this is what what do you do in the United States of America when you want something done right and you want someone incentivized? You pay them.
Great question.
You pay them. And you pay them top dollar. That's it. This is no different for these guys.
So $500,000.
What $1 million, 1.5, 2, whatever. If you wanted to change the format and make it a 2v2, like you got Jokic and Murray versus LeBron and Luka, and there was like a tournament and winner takes home $3.5 million, people would get into that. People would play for that. You have to realize too, on these weekends, all these guys are at all these events. So they land Thursday or Friday. They have to go to Converse brunch, and they have to go to the Nike party, and they have to do all this stuff. And then they're going out at night. You see them. They're all over the place at night.
Yeah.
Everyone's kicking it. Everybody's drinking. Everybody's having a good time. Then Sunday, if I'm gassed by Sunday, they have to be gassed. So then now you're telling us we have to take this game seriously that does nothing for us. And essentially,
do you have a solution? We just might have one of these
it's just more
scenarios.
money. You just got to add some more cheese to it.
Figure
out a way to add some more money.
What was the Simmons thing that you guys liked?
Bill Simmons said, if you don't participate in All-Star game, then next year you're not an All-Star. You're not invited.
Well, that's a zero because they'll just because what does participate mean? What does that mean?
It's too fluid of a.
Yeah, participate. Oh, I'll participate. Everybody's participating. Like Jokic participated. Like you know, so that's a no. That's a zero.
Do you think, to wrap it up, if they didn't touch it at all and we just watched a 163 to 150 game, that it would have been better than what you just witnessed?
And let's talk about that. Actually, that's my big thing. People are talking about, I just want to watch basketball. Where's the basketball? Well, you just complained about the basketball game last year. They played a 48-minute game last year. Everyone hated it and complained and whined. So they changed it, and then now everybody's complaining and whining about it's not enough basketball. For whatever reason, people seem to want a full-fledged playoff game with all-stars, and it's not going to happen.
But Sean, we're not even getting that in, day out NBA regular season.
That's what I'm getting at.
The best moments of the actual last game was when Kyrie was kind of taking it to Wemby. Curry hit that really long half-court three.
Yeah.
That's just really all we want. That's all you're going to get anyways. You want a couple of these guys to exercise their exceptional skills. One's ball handling, one's three-point. And we got small doses of that, but because it's to 40, it's so quick, it's over. I hate to say it, but just go back to the regular one and live with the results. To 40 is not enough ball.
Add some more money, I guess.
I mean, Pizza Reddit guy, I found a viral Reddit thing. It was 80 minutes of ads, 40 minutes of ball. That's not good. That's not good.
But look, they complained about 80 minutes of ad, 40 minutes of ball. They complained about 80 minutes of ball, 40 minutes of ads. So, I mean, like, if I'm Adam Silver, I'm kind of sitting there like, whoa.
What do you want?
What do you guys want? I know what you want. You want them to take this very seriously, but it's almost kind of out of my hands unless I just dump a ton of cheese into the game. And I don't see why he couldn't get that done from sponsor X, sponsor Y, whatever.
So to put a button on it, you don't fault Silver for trying, but it didn't work.
No, of course not. And I actually like the format. I just think it was a little 40s, maybe a little light.
Brunson didn't know. He said maybe to 50.
If you remember the game in the middle, I can't remember. I think it was Chuck and...
Yeah, second game was Chuck and Kenny.
Second game was Chuck and Kenny, and it got to like 37-34.
Yeah,
and
it was a game.
It was like a good game. The championship was a disaster because it starts off 11-1. They go to the break, and then...
But do you hear me on one team was sitting? If that was pickup, which it was, that's why it started out 11-1. I don't know how you fix that organization because one team is warmed and one team's sitting stale.
Yeah.
That's a very tough ask. And you got no 6 men. They're not used to sitting and sit. They
put a bunch of money in, let them go out and play for it. And then add a 2v2 tournament, a one-on. A lot of people want to see the one-on-one tournament, which I get.
2v2 would be way more exhilarating.
One-on-one causes for too much embarrassment on one person. They don't want to sign up for that. The real reason they don't want to sign up for the dunk contest is embarrassment.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
They don't want what happened to Buzelis to happen to them. You go out, miss 5 dunks, everyone's like, yo, Ja, what are you doing here? Like, that's the big reason. If you go do 2-on-2, we're leaning on each other. It's 2 of us out here, not one, and then you could potentially run a tournament and put a big bag of money at the end. But in the United States of America, what motivates people is cold, hard cash. That's what the country is built off of. That's why these kids have the status and the cachet they have, is because there's $22 million ball players making $60 million a year. The one thing I will say is they don't seem, Anthony Edwards is a perfect example, they don't seem to realize how they're in this position. They think it's because they're really good at basketball, and that's why. No, it's the endorsements. It's the personalities. It's the stuff you do off the court. It's the interviews. It's the access.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation, which you're making a great point.
But that's what I mean.
But they're so loaded so early, that's tough to get that
they're
perspective.
just like, oh, I'm making $60 million because I'm really good. It's like, no, it's because the popularity of the league is soaring because you're good and you could sell kicks. And the reason you could sell kicks is because you're a good personality. And there's all this other stuff that goes into it.
It's the actor that just wants to act. And they
Correct.
don't want to go do the Tom
Correct.
Cruise press tour when, I'm sorry, are you an actor or are you a movie star?
But
And
you
it's
know,
like,
but you know
there's
what?
too many ball players.
But you know what the actor that just wants to act enjoys? The check. So you see those guys doing what they have to do to get the. Try to book one of these actors that just like to act for half the money of a guy that
It's
does
a different
all
crop. It's a different crop of people, yeah.
Yeah,
I just think we're in an era like, oh, SGA doesn't want this fluff. He just wants basketball. Anthony Edwards is saying out loud he doesn't want to be the face of the league. This is on Curry, Durant, LeBron to like kind of be like, yo. That's why I said the other day, I'm like, Edwards doesn't want to be the face because Kevin Durant's his idol, and Kevin Durant never wanted to be the face. Just wanted to play ball. Didn't want all the extracurricular. All right.
So we need the league to be less Joaquin Phoenix, more Tom Cruise. That's what we're saying?
I think. All right.
No, because I think there's a very small percentage of guys like us that love hoop enough to just watch pure hoop that don't need the hoopla.
This is for the kids.
This is for
it's for the casuals and the kids.
I say this all the time. The NBA is the best soap opera of all time. It's a lot of soap opera that gets people involved in the NBA.
Yeah, like the Luka trade.
The Luka trade is I've never seen something take over like that trade took over.
Completely with you.
That has nothing to do with hoop for the most part on the floor. You need to be involved in the hoops and the hoopla. You need to do the Netflix documentary. You need to do that stuff to create these absorbent salaries that you make. And if you don't, if it was all about hoop, you wouldn't be making all the money that you're making.
Well, who's going to tell them that? Because it's an excellent point, and I don't know that the young guy. I think Wemby might be the only guy that knows it, and he is a couple years away from the face of the league.
Sure.
All right. Who's in the blender? Everybody's in the blender. For more Juice Bar, make sure to check out the podcast wherever you get your audio platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple, Google Play. Keep it rolling. More Juice Bar. Stay locked in.